After the success of the first Rayman game, Ubisoft decided to make a sequel, Rayman 2: The Great Escape. Originally, the game was supposed to be a 2D platformer like the first game. Development on the prototype began in early 1996 and was slated to be released on the PlayStation, at Sega Saturn, and PC, but around the time they were developing to get to this game, 3D games were more hyped than 2D games at the time. Games like Super Mario 64, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and Ocarina of Time were really hyped up around that time. When Ubisoft saw the first demo of the Crash Bandicoot 1 in E3 1995, they decided to scrap the idea of a 2D side-scroll Rayman sequel. Although at this point, the development team didn't really know how to make a 3D platforming game, so to see if they could make a good 3D Rayman game, they decided to make Tonic Trouble, a 3D platformer on the N64. After they made that, they felt a little bit more confident in making a 3D Rayman game, and they will use the same engine to make Rayman 2. And then Rayman 2: The Great Escape was finally released on N64 and PC in 1996, with the Dreamcast version being released days later, and the PS1 version coming out a year later. Sadly, the PS1 version is considered the indefinite version of the game, since chunks of levels were removed for the sake of voice acting, which may sound cool, but once you actually hear it, you'd wish Ubisoft would have kept the content from before. The Dreamcast version is considered the best version of the game since it has better graphics, more content, and runs at a higher frame rate. But for this video, I'm just going to be looking at the PS1 version since I don't really have a Dreamcast or M64, and even though I do have a PS2, I just don't really feel like getting it on there. And plus, even if I did, I still wouldn't be able to record footage of the game, so yeah. Also, some of the footage from this video is from the live stream I did of the game last December of last year. When I was recording footage of the game on my own, I was at the spider part of one level, and I just kind of kept on dying, so I just hit my phone screen, and now it's broke. But then I got a new phone, so I tried to re-record the footage again, only for the footage to get corrupted. So most of the footage is just gonna be the ones that I had remaining, and just from the live stream. Call me lazy, but I really don't feel like playing through the game again. Alright, let's get into the story. The story here is drastically different in tone than the first game. The story starts off with Rayman's kind being kidnapped, including Rayman himself. Glowbox, Rayman's friend, is put into the same cell that he was in. Rayman jumps in joy with him when he sees him. Although Rayman's feeling powerless, Glowbox gives Rayman a silver lum that gives Rayman the ability to throw projectiles. Rayman and Glowbox escape from a chute into the forest, where Rayman is separated from Glowbox. After traveling, Rayman frees these creatures called the Teensies, a group of people who have magical powers. They tell Rayman that Lee is located in one of the pirate strongholds. After a cost of a couple of lums, the Teensies give Rayman access to the Glade of Dreams. Eventually, Rayman finds Lee held captive in a force field within the Fairy Glade. Rayman tells Lee of his separation with Glowbox and his loss of powers. Due to the destruction of the Heart of World, Lee is unable to restore Rayman's powers. However, she tells the four ancient masks through Polycus, the spirit of the world, must be awakened in order to defeat the robot pirates. The four masks are hidden in secret sanctuaries consisting of 4 elements: water, earth, fire, and air. Lee informs Rayman that his only hope is to find the 4 masks to defeat their guardians, awaken Polygus. Razorbeak dispatches several warships to pursue and kill Rayman after hearing about how much progress he's making. Rayman approaches the Sanctuary of Water and Ice, the location in which the first of the 4 masks are contained. He defeats its guardian Axel in combat and collects the first mask, which teleports him into the realm where Polycus rests internally. Polycus congratulates him on his find and urges him to collect the 3 remaining masks. Rayman travels to, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but Main Hero Hills, where he learns to tame and ride walking shells. Rayman equates himself with Clark, a friendly giant who has become terminally ill after solving a robot pirate. He asks Rayman to retrieve the Elixir of Life from the Cave of Bad Dreams, a realm which can only be accessed if the occupant is asleep. Rayman asks a witch doctor to hypnotize him, which transports him into the Cave of Bad Dreams. Once there, Jano, the guardian of the dream world, offers Rayman the choice of eternal wealth instead of taking the elixir. If the player accepts Jano's offer, you get an ending that has an overweight Rayman stranding on a small island surrounded by treasure, which is kind of funny. Declining the offer will grant Rayman the elixir, which he uses to cure Clark. After acquiring the 4th Bass, Polycus creates another portal for Rayman to fight Razorbeard. During combat, Razorbeard accidentally collapses the floor, plunging both him and Rayman into a lava-filled furnace. During the descent, Lee telepathically saves Rayman from his fall and creates him a sentient flying shell, which he uses to knock Glorgloth into the lava. Razorbeard escapes the ship in a small shuttlecraft and initiates cluster strikes, which destroys the Buccaneer with Rayman still inside. Later at Rayman's funeral, all gather a memorial service. They go and recover Rayman's left shoe. However, the shoe suddenly appears to react on oncoming presence as a limping 1-foot Rayman emerges nearby, much to the joy of everyone present. The story is surprisingly deep for a platformer in the late 90s, not to mention how jarring the change in tone is compared to the first game. We just went from a happy forest and environment to having species becoming slaves and being dehydrated. This might be the Jack 2 of the Rayman franchise. Alright, let's talk about the gameplay. You control Rayman in a 3D environment where you jump, hover, collect lumps, fight enemies, and die. When you go to the first level, you'll notice these little fireflies called lumps. There are 1,000 lumps in the entire game, spread out by Razorbeard. They're the life of this world and are needed to get back certain areas in this game. There's also red lumps and purple lumps. The red lump restores health, while the purple lumps make Rayman swing across another platform. And then there's the hub worlds called the Hall of Doors, although in the Dreamcast version it's called the Island of Doors. Not only does the Dreamcast version have a different name, but for the hub world it also looks very different from it graphically. While the other versions kind of have Super Mario World-like maps, the Dreamcast version is basically an island, so like Crash 1's main way of transportation. Personally, I like the island approach better, but I don't think the Hall of Doors is any worse than that. Rayman can throw projectiles that can bounce off all over the place, and even gets an upgrade that makes him more powerful. His hair can also be used as a makeshift helicopter that makes him hover in the air for a little bit. He can climb on certain surfaces, he can swim, and you can use R2 if you're playing the PS1 version to hop side to side for combat. For some enemies, they start attacking you in a hand-to-hand combat, but it's very easy. It's not really that hard to just move out the way and just shoot them the other way. The only way you can die from these guys is either not being experienced enough or just out of stupidity, like me. Rayman can also grab on the ledges, but it's not really that interesting. In each and every level, you're always doing something different. In some levels, you'll be carrying these powdered kegs around to destroy some stuff. Rayman can throw them up in the air so he can defend himself without having to put down the keg every 5 minutes. You also need to use his barrier to cross pits of lava in one of the best platforming segments in the game. And along the way, you'll get to ride its missile to get to certain sections of the level. And it controls like utter shit. I don't know if it's just because I'm mad, but it's really easy to bump into stuff and die, and it's really heavy while turning. Not to mention, if you run into something in the missile, you die, which makes it all the more frustrating. Up and away. What? What the fuck? In one part of the game, you'll be jet skiing through a swamp with highly certain sharp turns, and the powder kegs can also start making you fly everywhere. In some levels, you'll do races with Lee to get bonus points, additionally collecting lumps and breaking all the cages in a level. Sliding segments make an appearance here, serving as a way to escape from monsters and to get out of Razorbeard's ship. Some of the best levels in the game involve you running away from a pirate ship shooting bombs at you while you keep running on a barely stable bridge to escape. It's really frantic, and that actually got me to die a couple of times. Now, the bosses in this game are not very good. I mean, one of them you don't really fight, you just jump on top of them and they just walk into lava. The only one that was actually difficult was the final boss, and yeah, this was actually pretty challenging. If you saw me streaming this game, you would have seen me raging the whole time I was playing it. God. Sort of boss fight's impossible. They're not the best, but they're not exactly the worst either. The graphics in this game by PS1 standards are actually pretty good. The backgrounds really pop out, the characters really blend in with the surroundings, and some of the level aesthetics in this game can be straight up scary sometimes, like in levels like Cave of Bad Dreams, where there's purple ooze everywhere, there's these caterpillar things that crawl around, and to top it all off, there's this eyeball creature that chases after you and then you start riding a slope. Although it's more scarier in other versions of the game than the PS1 version, because here it just kinda happens too fast. I mean, what looks scary to you? This?
Not revenge here.
Or this?
Your point ends here!
Now, this game's soundtrack is weirdly atmospheric. I say that because in contrast to other platformers that use upbeat and bouncer soundtracks, this game sort of uses a more ambient soundtrack. I mean, listen to this and tell me this is what you would usually hear in a 3D platformer. I know, right? I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing, it's just really very weird hearing this kind of music in a 3D platformer like this. I think my favorite song in this game might have to be The Hall of Doors. It just really hypes up that sense of mystery and adventure. But the songs in this game kind of have a nice atmospheric sound to it, and it kind of goes along well with the darker tones of this game. So in conclusion, Rayman 2 in my opinion is a pretty good sequel. I wouldn't say that I'm a huge Rayman fan now. I mean, I have to play more games in the series and actually enjoy them to fully say that I'm a fan, but yeah, I really think that Rayman 2 is well worth your time. I mean, there's a reason why this game was ported like 55 times and is critically acclaimed as one of the best 3D platforms of all time. I don't really know what's next for Rayman. I mean, I heard some ideas about a Rayman 2 HD remake, but it's not exactly confirmed. I mean, the series hasn't really gotten a release since 2013's Rayman Legends. But if they ever decide to go down the route of a Rayman 2 remaster, I'm down for that. But yeah, if you're a huge platformers fan and if you've been thinking about getting into Rayman, I really recommend you start with this game. It's pretty fun, it's a nice introduction for the series if you haven't experienced it yet. But yeah, it's kind of weird having a Crash 4 video out and immediately working on this video after. But if you like this video, make sure to subscribe because you wouldn't believe the amount of people who watch my videos who aren't subscribed. And subscribe to my second channel if you want to see more of me, and follow my Instagram and Twitter for updates of video progress and occasional nice picture. Follow me on Twitch. I stream every weekend, but sometimes I don't if there's something going on at that time, or if I just can't think of a game to stream. And join the Discord server if you want to talk with me or other members of my community. But yeah, with all that out of the way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the. No, 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 no. Look at the top of his head.